INEC has to put notes down, and government that is the lead agency, more or less as the president has said, that it will leave us with good election, they owe this country an apology, really, and that is where we should begin from. Very key now.
INEC and federal government indeed owe Nigerians a huge apology for failing them in all the 2023 elections. 2023 elections is not free, fair, and credible one, but it is brutality and defranchisement. In generally, it is called war elections.
Ayodele, let's bring you in here as well. What are your thoughts on the way in which the process has gone, what we've seen transpire over the past 36 to 48 hours?
My criticism of INEC will be a bit nuanced because in the first instance, the things within their control, which is, for instance, the beavers, the accreditation process, I think it was, a bit seamless across the entire state in Lagos, which means to an extent we have moved the needle forward in terms of voter accreditation, which has given voice to ordinary Nigerians to elect the people that they want to elect. The problem, however, is the fact that desperate politicians have used thugs, violence, and ethnic baiting to sabotage the entire process, of which INEC has very little control over. As much as INEC gets a lot of criticism, I see very few criticisms about the Nigerian police, to such a situation where there were polling units, and many of them across certain places in Lagos West senatorial districts, where the people who disrupted elections came with sticks and machetes to destroy ballot boxes or to chase away voters. And you would imagine that police with guns who were properly kitted could not repel such attacks in those particular polling units. So for me, I think where I would really criticize INEC is the fact that it is hard to argue against what our eyes saw yesterday, that there were a lot of irregularities across the entire states. There were places in Jeremy Felodun where ballot boxes were thrown into the gutters, and people in defiance were pulling out these papers and sunning them down to dry so that their votes will count. Now, what did INEC do in those situations? And like you rightfully said in the beginning, only 10 polling units, and in VGC, where also, because the people cried out to say that they were disenfranchised and they couldn't vote, that elections are being rerun in those particular places. How about the hundreds of places where people were chased away? The places where people were attacked? The head of the Nigerian Youth Fund, Okoyemi, was attacked in Etiosa. He was bleeding all over because he was trying to cover an election in Ikate. So these are the issues that we must address. And I like how former President Jonathan put it yesterday in Bielsa. You cannot kill us if you want to serve us, which is you have to allow the people exercise their franchise willingly, without intimidation, without suppression. Like we saw in Oyo State, if you are popular and if the people love you, you will be elected unequivocally. You would have all sorts of landslide victories, and you will not need to oppress or intimidate people to vote. That's a lesson that should be learned, and that was a letdown in Lagos State yesterday. It's probably one of the worst elections I've seen in Lagos State since 2003.
Well, there are probably more lessons to be learned, but we'll get to that in due course. But what is clear is that in Lagos, 10 polling units have had rescheduled elections. Elections were also cancelled in parts of Plateau over logistics errors, and also in Benue State, in Kwande local government area. But the question is, does this go far enough? Because violence is reported nationwide in Emoha, local government area of Rivers State, for example, and in Taraba, in Kogi. So it's not just about Lagos, it's a nationwide problem. And election observers have raised the question about credibility. What does this say about the credibility of this entire process?